just a dream. He isn't real. He isn't real.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movie monsters inspired by real life.
How do you get people to protect themselves from something they don't believe in?
For this list, we'll be looking at monstrous creatures from movies whose creation was influenced by real people and folklore. Which of these real monsters do you find the scariest? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Imhotep, the Mummy. Today, many people associate Imhotep with Arnold Vosloo's villain in the modern Mummy franchise, but it was legendary horror actor Boris Karloff who first brought him to the screen in 1932. Both versions are loosely based on a historical figure.
Have we not met before, Miss Grosvenor?
No, I don't think so. I don't think one would forget meeting you out of the...
Then I am mistaken.
No, the real Imhotep was not a mummy who came back to life and killed people. In the 27th century BCE, Imhotep was a chancellor under Pharaoh Djoser, and maybe the architect of his step pyramid. Over 1,000 years after his death, Imhotep became the subject of a cult and was regarded as a demigod. He was also seen as ancient Egyptian Renaissance man of sorts, versed in a wide variety of subjects and writing various wisdom texts.
You will not remember what I show you now, and yet I shall awaken memories of love and crime and death.
Number 9. Gwomul, the Host. Before receiving acclaim for his film Parasite, South Korean director Bong Joon-ho directed a monster movie called The Host. It follows a man whose daughter is kidnapped by a mutant fish. The premise is based on real events. Back in 2000, an American man named Albert McFarland, who ran the morgue in the US military base in Seoul, ordered employees to dump almost 200 bottles of formaldehyde down a drain that led to the Han River. This is the event that kicks off the film.
This is not just any toxic chemicals, so you
The Han River is very broad, Mr. Kim. Let's try to be broad-minded about this.
The monster itself was based on an article that Bong read about a deformed fish with an S-shaped spine, caught in that same river. Number 8. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Various.
Dr. Jekyll, you are wanted by the Knights of the Holy Order.
It's Mr. Hyde now.
For the murder of 12 men, 6 women, 4
4 children, 3 adults, and a rather nasty massacre of poultry.
Written in 1886 by Robert Louis Stevenson, the Gothic novella Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde has inspired numerous movie adaptations.
Remember, you belong to me, do you hear? You belong to me! And if you do one thing that I don't approve of while I'm gone, the least little thing, mind you, I'll show you what horror means.
The original tale drew on a couple of real-life cases. One was William Brodie, a Scottish deacon who broke into the houses of the rich and stole their valuables. He used the money to fund his gambling addiction. He was eventually hanged for his crimes. Another was Eugene Chantrelle, a personal friend of Robert Louis Stevenson, who was convicted of killing his own wife.
I grant you I am no beauty, but under this exterior, you'll find a very flower.
Stevenson was fascinated with the dichotomy between outward good and inward evil, and he drew inspiration from these cases to craft the novella's central character. Number 7. The Demon, Veronica. This Spanish film from director Paco Plaza is one of the most acclaimed possession movies of the 21st century. It is also, supposedly, based on a true story. In the early 90s, a student in Madrid named Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro held a seance to contact her friend's boyfriend, who had recently died in a motorcycle accident. After a teacher interrupted the seance, eyewitnesses reportedly saw a smoky apparition entering Lazaro's nose. She soon began experiencing seizures and hallucinations, and in 1991 died in mysterious circumstances.
Adelante.
Reportedly, a police report claimed that her house was haunted. It is now known as the Vallecas case, and it's one of Madrid's most famous stories of the paranormal. Number 6. The Blob. The Blob.
Doc, it's gotten bigger. It was just on his hand before.
Cover him with this, please. I'd better give him something.
Known for Steve McQueen's first leading role, The Blob is a classic B-movie from the late 50s. The titular monster consumes everything it touches in small-town Pennsylvania, and it came to Earth inside a meteorite. Believe it or not, this thing has a real-world precedent. Back in 1950, 4 police officers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, discovered a mysterious blob of what looked like jelly, measuring 6 feet in diameter. This mysterious gelatinous substance is known as star jelly, and reports of it date back to the 14th century. No one knows for sure what it is.
The homeowner has no idea what it is, and he fears, well, this gooey stuff could be from out of this world.
Number 5. Chucky. Child's Play.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Chucky actually has numerous inspirations. Believe it or not, none of them are human spirits trapped inside a doll. Writer Don Mancini wanted to comment on the flagrant consumerism of the 80s and was largely inspired by the Cabbage Patch Kids craze. Director Tom Holland, not the Spider-Man Tom Holland, also said that the design of Chucky was influenced by the My Buddy dolls of the mid-80s. In a surprising twist for the time, My Buddy dolls were marketed primarily at young boys.
Andy, no, please. We're friends to the end, remember?
This is the end, friend.
It's been speculated that Chucky was also inspired by Robert the Doll, a allegedly haunted doll that supposedly terrorized its owners. He now resides in a Florida museum.
We don't know if the legend of Robert terrorizing passing children from his window, moving when people are looking, tearing up rooms is true, but legend says you ask permission to take a picture and we are polite ghost hunters.
Number 4. Gustav. Primeval.
Don't follow me.
Starring Dominic Purcell, Primeval is an adventure horror film about a team of journalists who set out to capture a giant, man-eating crocodile. There are many monster films of its ilk, but unlike those, this one is based on reality. Gustav is an actual crocodile from Burundi, Africa, who is said to be over 18 feet long, weigh 2,000 pounds, and to have killed 300 people. He hunts the Ruzizi River and Lake Tanganyika, as in the film, a team did travel to Burundi to film and capture him, producing the 2004 documentary Capturing the Killer Croc. However, their experiences weren't quite as dramatic as in Primeval. Number 3. Freddy Krueger. A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Come to Freddy.
One of the most iconic slasher villains of all time, Freddy Krueger has a ton of different influences. He's named after Wes Craven's school tormentor, Fred Krueger. He was also inspired by a childhood event in which a man stopped outside Craven's house and eerily stared at him through the window. But the basic idea behind the villain was sparked by an article about traumatized Hmong refugees in the US who suffered from horrific nightmares and refused to sleep.
Whatever you do, don't fall
asleep.
Some eventually died in their sleep, a phenomenon that was called Asian death syndrome at the time. It's now thought to have been due to a genetic disorder called Brugada syndrome that leads to sudden heart attacks.
I'm crazy after all.
Number 2. Jaws. Jaws.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Steven Spielberg's masterpiece was based on Peter Benchley's novel of the same name, but he in turn was inspired by the Jersey Shore shark attacks of 1916. Nearly 60 years before Benchley's novel was published, 4 people were killed by sharks off the coast of New Jersey. 1 other was injured, and this all occurred during a brutal heatwave in July. It's believed that either a great white or a bull shark was responsible. This historic event inspired numerous aspects of Benchley's story. For example, resort towns faced economic devastation by the resulting panic, and many people went on open water shark hunts to kill the offending creatures.
Smile, you son of a...
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Godzilla. Godzilla. This iconic movie was released less than a decade after the end of the Second World War, and that's no coincidence. Godzilla might have been a monster movie, but it also had higher thematic ambitions. Born from nuclear radiation, Godzilla represented fears of nuclear holocaust. The Japanese experienced this firsthand in August 1945 when the US dropped atomic bombs on the cities Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing up to 226,000 people, mostly civilians. Art director Akira Watanabe studied the scars suffered by survivors to create Godzilla's skin, hence also the monster's atomic breath.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.